Demonstration of the second exercise in Falun Dafa, also known as Falun Gong, which is a standing stance meditation exercise. The hands are held for different periods of time in a meditative posture. For purposes of the demonstration, he's going to move through it a little quicker. Generally, this exercise is done for at least 30 minutes. Thank you. Demonstrating the fourth exercise in Falun Dafa. Normally this exercise would be done 9 times. So in terms of the difficulty of, the exercises, do you still feel it's accessible for people though?
Oh, absolutely. I think really in all things, the more simple you get, the more effective and powerful something is. That seems to be a rule of the universe, basically. And that's one of the things that sold me on the practice is it's so easy to learn. When I had the practice site, people, everybody has a different learning curve, and they, some people pick it up immediately. It takes them 5 minutes and they can learn it. Some people struggle for a couple months, but they'll eventually get it. I had one guy come up from Princeton to do a little film about the practice, and he'd never practiced in his life. He did the whole practice like it was nothing.
Yes, I've had that experience too with some of my students who, some of them have a really hard time with meditation, in particular the standing meditation or the seated meditation, but others, I have a student who's a young student, he's 19, did the whole thing with me as if he were born to do it.
Right.
So, I wonder as to maybe he was born to do it.
Yeah.
What does it mean when you say practice site? You had a practice site. What does that look like?
It's just I had committed to going to a park at a specific time, which was 9 a.m.
Okay.
Basically after I had my morning clients, and I would just set up the music, because this practice is done to music.
Okay.
And put out a little box of pamphlets so if people were curious, what is this? They could read up on the practice.
Okay.
And just run the practice, run the exercises.
So the big question for people is, how much does it cost?
It is free. That's one of the beautiful things about this practice is there's no money whatsoever involved. If somebody starts charging you money for this, you need to go find someone else. Because one of the main differences between this form of Qigong, Falun Gong, it has an inner component, which some people would call spiritual, and if you are dealing with things of that nature, you don't want to be charging money for it. So yeah, that's.
Well, that's very interesting, because when I came to it initially, I came to it at a health fair, And at that particular time, economically, I wasn't really doing that well. I had just come back to the country, and I was just getting myself, I was living in Europe for a long time, and I came back. And when they initially told me it was free, I didn't really believe it, because mostly when you go to those fairs and things like that, they're always trying to sell you a book, then they sell you the video, then they sell you this, and then, it's free, but it's only going to cost you $29.95, And so I gave them my name, because they said they were going to call me for a 9-day lecture, which I didn't know what it was at the time either, but it sounded like, okay, fine, sounds good to me, but I don't have any money. And they were like, well, it's free. I was like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. So about a week later, I get a call, and it's from them, and they say, well, the 9-day lecture is going to be starting next week, and blah, 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 and this is the location. And I'm like, this all sounds really great. I told you that from the beginning. I was really interested, but I don't have any money. And so they were like, no, it's free. And I started to really believe then. I was like, free? This is really free? And so 20 years later, I can say it's free.
Right.
In terms of money, it's free. But in terms of the cost you have to pay is your diligence.
Right.
And your determination to practice. That's the cost you pay. And it's inner cultivation. The cost you pay is you trying to do your best.
Right.
That's the fee. You applying yourself to it. And I think that it's unique in that respect. And one of the things that signaled me that it was genuine, because there are very few things that are disseminated for the sake of helping people, purely for the sake of helping people without any other kind of like hidden agendas. And I really feel like from where I'm sitting, from what I benefited from it, that is the case. Other people may have another opinion, but my experience has been that it's been a very good one for my health and well-being. I haven't really seen anything else that I could say had the same impact and has the same impact. So tell me a little bit about the description of the exercises. The first exercise we've covered, you says it opens the circulation and the meridians. The second exercise is a standing meditation exercise. And what are the benefits that you would expect, or some of the effects you might expect from the second exercise?
Well, like I said, it's excuse me, it's challenging in that it really works the delts. It's your front and your lateral delts are going to burn up, and the challenge of the exercise is to see it as a challenge. Like, how long can I do this?
Okay.
And sort of make a game out of it, and not like, oh, I'm suffering, I can't take this anymore.
What are the benefits of the exercise?
The benefits are the energy. It's said if you don't have enough time to do all of the exercises, if you need to just pick one, do the second exercise.
Okay.
Because I immediately feel the energy jack up from the second exercise.
Okay, and the third exercise?
The third exercise is it's also kind of classic qigong in that the hands are run up and down the body vertically and along the meridians. So what you're doing is you're expelling stagnant qi out of the body and bringing in fresh qi. And then it also has a component that you sort of spin the hands in the area of the abdomen,
okay,
which creates an energy vortex. And that's one of the things that once that energy starts to spin, it will keep working. These are starting to get to be a little bit esoteric sounding things, but if you do the practice, you feel this happening, and that's one of the things that keeps working on you when you're not practicing.
Well, I mean, there's esoteric, and then you're talking about your personal experience. You're
right.
saying that you've actually experienced this feeling. So I would never say to you, no, that didn't exist. And people who say that, that's fine, I mean, people were saying for a long time that the world wasn't round.
Right.
But then one day, they found out that there was more to it than they had originally suspected.
Yeah.
So when it comes to those kinds of things, I think there's an entry point for people who are not culturally acclimated to thinking about energy and energy flow and non-visible or non-tangible phenomenon. There's an entry point for it in that when you practice, you get the benefit and you get a certain sensation, and whatever you may call it, I don't think that if you're being rational, you can deny that it exists. So whatever language you may use to describe the phenomenon, they're going on.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way I look at it. They're going on. So whatever language you want to use to describe it, it's occurring, you know. And let me see, we've got 1, 2, 3, the fourth exercise, because that's also one that you demonstrated, that is one of the more elaborate ones in terms of movement, yes?
Right. That's sort of moving the energy all around the body. There's a sort of energy circuit that starts to happen.
Okay.
And again, that coincides with this sort of energy vortex that I was talking about, and will bring in fresh energy. And that's another one where, like the second exercise, I feel if I do it on a previous day, then the next day I feel tremendous energy from having done the fourth exercise.
So you've got meditative exercise, and you have circulation, and you have this type of body cleansing experience energetically. And what about the fifth exercise? The fifth exercise we didn't have an opportunity to actually show. All the videos are on the web, and I'll link to the website for people, www.falundafa.org. People can go to, but I'll put the link on there and they can see. I know that all the exercises are on there in video form, and also I think picture form as well, so people can actually see. But in terms of the fifth exercise, could you just give us a general description of what it is and what it does?
Yeah, it's sort of the classic Buddhist meditation. I mean, if you look at a Buddhist statue, you see that full lotus position where the legs are pulled up. It's either full lotus or half lotus.
Now let's talk about that before we go any further, because a lot of people may find that to be impossibly intimidating or intimidatingly impossible.
Right.
In terms of
myself as well. If you've played sports, done a lot of heavy squatting, you're probably going to have some challenges with full lotus. But most women women are a little more flexible than men, generally speaking, and they don't have any problem with it. Like my client, who I showed the meditation to, she just popped right in the full lotus, like right off the bat. I was like, oh, this is just stop. Not fair.
It took me a minute it took me a couple of months to be able to get to it. I don't know how much of it is a flexibility issue, at least for myself, as it was a determination to actually be able to relax and kind of it was a process when I look back on it. It was definitely a process because I've done movement for most of my life and stretching is part of it, but this was a whole different, for me, it was a whole different can of worms. It was like somebody ramped up this whole thing because there were things inside of me that they were tighter, but not in a muscular way. It was almost like it was here that I had to let go first before it would trickle down. And so you're saying that you're not sitting in full lotus, so can people do the fifth exercise and not sit in full lotus?
Oh, absolutely. Guys start off sitting in chairs and
sit
like we're sitting now. This is it's fine to start however you need to start.
I see.
And just build up to it. Half lotus will get you pretty much the same results.
Okay.
The main thing is to it's another challenging thing. If you're sitting for 10 minutes, that's not so bad. In 15 minutes, legs start to feel a little something. And about half hour in, legs fall asleep. 40 minutes in, they start to get a little painful. 45 minutes, you think maybe you want to stop now. And 50 minutes is getting really challenging, and by the end of the hour, you want to.
So how long you're sitting for an hour?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I told somebody that I wanted them to sit for an hour meditation, they probably would not be my friend.
Well, they would eventually.
Okay.
You can't sit for it. Well, some people can. It's
But from my understanding, you don't have to necessarily sit for that hour.
No. You want to build up to that. However long you can sit. Like I said with my client, I had her sit for a minute. Then she got up to 2 minutes, and then it was 5 and 10. Now she's doing a half hour.
Gotcha.
So little by little, and the main benefit is your mind to quiet it down, and then to be able to transfer that mind emptiness into situations where you're standing in a line at the bank, and you're getting jostled, and your time's running out. You got to be at an appointment, and the frustration and the stress that starts to build up. If you can go into that meditative mindset and just let it all drop away,
right.
then that's a healthy thing. Most of the things that people are running into nowadays are stress related, and this is the number one stress killer of all time is meditation.
Yes, and it's a very ancient thing.
Right.
It's a very interesting thing, meditation, because it can be done pretty much anywhere.